Good morning, my name is Eliana and my partner's name is Brendan, and our proposal is high school should allow students mental health days to be taken as sick days.
From 2008 to 2017, suicidal thoughts from the ages 18 to 19 have increased for 46%. President Trump blamed mental illnesses in students on school threats and attacks. Derek Evans, a 4.0 student, for most of his life was forced to take off 4 consecutive school days for his own mental health. His teachers told him that if he did not return the following day, he would fail.
So currently, Utah and Oregon have enacted laws and changed their definition of sick days to include mental health days within those laws. Students attending high schools in Colorado, Florida, and Washington are also trying to pass similar laws that will help benefit their high schools and their peers. Students agree overall that just taking one day relieves them from a lot, and that a couple of absences for their own benefit should not have to hurt them, especially if they have the grades that they already need. They also agree that high school overall was a stressful time as it opened up new chapters into their world that comes after they graduate.
Throughout 9 years, the suicide death rate increased by 46% in teenagers ages 18 to 19. We believe that high school should implement a policy allowing students to take off mental health days as sick days. Doing so, this will provide students with a day just to relax when they really need it. Sometimes it is not anything big, but this could do as much as lower the suicidal thoughts rate even by a little for their age group.
So the first article that we found was titled "Schools Are Allowing Mental Health Days for Students, and This is How Kids Should Use Them." It was written by Christy Parr on September 6, 2019. So basically, we found this article reliable because it was written off of parental experience, which basically just means that the parents that wrote within the article had students that were suffering from a mental illness, and they wished that the schools would reach out and actually help them. Or they had students at the schools that have already taken action. So a little summary on this article. It mainly talked about how 70% of high school students reported that they know peers or themselves who suffer from mental illnesses or struggle from anxiety and depression. Students in Oregon high schools took a look at the Parkland, Florida shooting and wanted to create a solution to what the students there had to deal with. High school students agree that this is such a difficult time in their lives and that even one day off completely can change their attitude. So some evidence of this, we have Derek Evans, who states, "Dealing with anxiety throughout high school has always left me tired, exhausted, up against some weeks, and the difference one day makes is honestly life-changing." Advocates also said that in Utah schools, they broadened their definitions of an excused absence and made them hope that it will reduce mental health illnesses and encourage students to actually want to reach out and talk about their own issues with an adult. And then for the second article, it was titled, "Should Students Be Allowed Mental Health Days by Accountable?" And it was published August 14th, 2019. So we believe that this source is also reliable because it provided us with multiple quotes for both the pro side and the con side about this specific proposal. These quotes included teenagers that helped with the existing bills in Oregon, mental health advocates, and even a therapist. So a little summary on this one is it basically just summed up the pros and cons of adding mental health into the definition of sick days. Overall, everyone on the pro side believed that passing this proposal could help teens feel more open to talking about their problems. Also, they wanted this proposal to pass in hopes that the largest death cause, which is suicide, will lessen. However, others believe that students already do call in sick for absolutely no reason, and they believe that students would just take advantage of this proposal and that it isn't really going to raise awareness for anything because in the end you can call off, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you went and actually reached out for help if it was needed. So some evidence from the pro side was a quote that said, "We are not talking just about, I just don't feel like going to school. We're talking about real disorders, real things that have real impacts." And then a quote from the con side said, "One of my fears initially would be that the students that would take advantage of this, potentially manipulating it for the reasons that are not what they were initially intended for."
Students were the ones that actually planned and got this to pass along their schools. Therefore, it would take a couple of students to suggest and work together with their school board of education to get something passed. If this passed, the school can send out a letter, hold a meeting, or a phone call to parents. The new absence can start as soon as the phone call or the new school year. In order to make this work, a student should still make sure that a parent does still call in. If this goes on to affect the student's graduation time, a counselor should be able to help the student stay on track. So we made a timeline, and in 2020, the plan is presented and approved by the Board of Education. In 2021, high school passed this have plan implemented as part of the new school year. In 2021, 6 months after the school year starts, schools that have passed the proposal must be following the conduct, otherwise face a remove opposition.
Thank you for your time.